Many people doubt Meghan has long been a mother. Following her attendance at Northwestern University, Meghan began dating Joe Giuliano, and the couple got married after having a child when Meghan was almost 20. According to reports, Noelle was born in or around 1999, which fits the timeline perfectly. Given her appearance, Noelle does share some similarities with Joe and Meghan, and she's even more like Meghan.
Joshua Silverstein was her very first boyfriend. They were both only 13.
Holy shit. He said what?
Picture this for a second. A woman builds her whole image around being the royal family's bold rebel, the one who speaks her truth and shakes the palace walls. But then the internet starts whispering something wild, a rumor that she may have hidden a daughter for nearly 30 years. Suddenly the story doesn't look so clean anymore. People joke that Meghan Markle doesn't just have skeletons in the closet. It's more like an entire maternity ward hiding in there. While she's doing interviews about finding her voice and talking about being silenced, folks online keep asking one messy question. Where was that voice when she was allegedly signing secret annulment papers in Vegas? Because honestly, if Meghan's life were a Netflix series, the tagline would probably be, "New season, same drama, new headlines." Every year the same pattern pops up again. Another leak, another rumor, another explosive chapter in what many call the world's most chaotic royal soap opera. But this time, the chatter isn't about tiaras, royal titles, or palace drama. This time, the talk is about something way bigger, a child that supposedly no one was ever meant to know about. The official story says Meghan took a simple gap year to find herself. Sounds sweet, right? Traveling, growing, discovering the world. But rumor circles tell a totally different story. Instead of hiking across Europe, some claim she was walking down an aisle in Las Vegas saying "I do" to Joe Giuliano. And not long after that, whispers started flying about a baby girl.
Meghan was researching the prince online and found out that the prince is now duped, so I can now go ahead and marry him. At that stage, Meghan contacted Joe, told him that, look, if you open your mouth, I'm gonna sue you.
The wildest part of the rumor, Prince Harry supposedly had no idea any of this even existed. Here's where things get strange. Meghan Markle's official timeline has a massive gap in it, the kind that people say can't just be explained away. After finishing high school in 1994, the story goes that she simply took a year off before college. Normal enough, right? Except here's the catch. Nobody can clearly show where she actually was during that time. No travel receipts, no photos from trips, no friends telling stories about crazy adventures abroad, just Meghan's version of events. And critics online say that at this point, it raises more questions than answers.
And right now we're in Beverly Hills, and we're gonna pass the Beverly Hilton Hotel, where I'll be on Sunday meeting the other North.
And instead of backpacking through Europe like the story suggests, some rumors claim something far more dramatic happened. A secret Vegas wedding with her teenage boyfriend.
That we were together, it's what kids did, right? So she told her friends she liked me, I told my friends I liked her, and then our friends met, and then they kind of arranged it, and then we became girlfriend and boyfriend.
And honestly, to some watchers of royal drama, that version of the story sounds a lot closer to the unpredictable Meghan people think they know. So let's get this straight. The woman known for doing whatever it takes suddenly vanishes for an entire year. And the only explanation we get is a vague gap year story. Come on. To a lot of people watching from the outside, that missing year doesn't look like peaceful soul searching. It looks more like a chapter that nobody wants to talk about. And here's the twist people online keep bringing up. If that mysterious year really involved a baby, then Meghan didn't just take a gap year. She took what critics jokingly call a gap child. That line alone has kept the rumor mills spinning nonstop. But hold up, because the rabbit hole gets even deeper. Let's talk about Las Vegas for a second. The city where wild choices don't just happen, they get lit up in giant neon lights. According to long-running rumors, Meghan Markle wasn't there for slot machines or cheap buffets. The story floating around claims she was walking down a simple courthouse aisle, allegedly marrying her teenage boyfriend Joe Giuliano. Not exactly Windsor Castle vibes, but critics say Meghan has always known how to upgrade her situation.
Clear to me at the time that, we were together, I would say. Yeah, she had a very clear idea of where she wanted her path to take.
And this wasn't some flashy celebrity elopement either. The story describes something small and quiet. A courthouse, 2 family witnesses, quick paperwork, done. Boom. Married. Except the so-called bliss didn't last long at all. The relationship reportedly ended almost as quickly as it started. Only a few months later, annulment papers were reportedly filed, and that's where people start raising eyebrows, because the records connected to that situation were sealed in Las Vegas, a place famous for keeping decades of strange wedding and divorce records public. You can dig up Elvis-themed marriages from the 1970s without breaking a sweat. Yet somehow, these documents remain locked away. So critics online keep asking the same question. Why the secrecy? Vegas courts usually don't seal records for no reason. It's not like they hand out privacy protections like party souvenirs. That mystery alone has kept speculation alive for years. And according to the rumors, that alleged wedding might only be the beginning of the story, because some whispers go even further, claiming that the real reason the timeline feels so confusing is a possible pregnancy during that same period. The official narrative paints Meghan as a young woman exploring the world, figuring out her path before college.
Hi, Daddy. I got English.
But rumor circles paint a totally different picture. One where life suddenly became far more complicated than travel photos and self-discovery.
He wiped out all kind of pictures, communications with Joe.
By mid-1995, the rumor claims Meghan may have had a daughter. Not a college adventure, not another chapter of a gap year story. A child. According to those same claims, the child was quietly raised by the Giuliano family, far away from public attention. No headlines, no official statements, just a life kept completely private while Meghan continued building her future. Now, to be clear, these claims remain unverified rumors that circulate online, but that hasn't stopped critics from pointing to what they see as a familiar pattern. Reinvent, reset, and move forward. One moment, Meghan was working small Hollywood roles. The next, she was stepping into royal life as a duchess. And in between those chapters, supporters say it was simply personal growth, while skeptics believe parts of the story may have been carefully left behind. Meanwhile, according to the rumors, the Giuliano family quietly raised the girl away from public attention, while Meghan headed off to Northwestern University, starting a completely new chapter and building the polished image the world would eventually come to know.
I remember when she was born, big new addition to the family, and we just have a very young sister here.
Thomas Jr. was 14 when Meghan came into the world.
You can try to bury secrets, but they don't stay buried forever. And according to the rumors flying around online, this particular secret would now be around 30 years old. If those claims were somehow true, critics say Meghan Markle didn't just leave behind a teenage relationship. She may have left behind something far more personal. People who talk about the Giuliano family often describe them as traditional and private, the type who value stability, loyalty, and keeping family matters close to home. Meanwhile, critics of Meghan often paint a very different picture of her. Someone always looking for the next opportunity, the next step up, the next door to walk through. According to the rumor version of events, an understanding was allegedly made. The Giuliano family would quietly raise the child, while Meghan moved forward with a brand new life. No public announcement, no official trail anyone can easily point to, just a situation handled quietly behind the scenes. Supporters say that idea sounds unbelievable, but skeptics argue it fits a pattern they think they've seen before. Because critics often claim that Meghan's life story seems full of sudden exits, friendships that fade away, family ties that fall apart, relationships that end dramatically. And in that narrative, skeptics ask a harsh question. If something threatened her big ambitions at the time, would she have simply walked away from it too? Those critics say her approach to people who no longer fit the plan is simple. Move on fast. Delete the connection. Shut the door. Act like that chapter never happened. It's a brutal way of looking at things, but it's exactly how some commentators describe her rise through Hollywood and eventually into royal life. Meanwhile, the rumor claims the Giuliano family handled the quiet reality behind the scenes. While Meghan reportedly moved ahead toward college and a fresh start, the story suggests they focused on raising the child away from the spotlight. No media attention, no public drama, just a private life far from the headlines. But stories like that don't stay quiet forever. According to online chatter, if anything like this were ever proven, it could shake the carefully crafted public image people associate with Meghan today. And this is where the mystery around that alleged Las Vegas annulment keeps people talking. A short teenage marriage might be embarrassing, sure, but a record sealed so tightly that almost nobody can access it? That's what keeps fueling speculation. Las Vegas is famous for messy wedding stories. You can find records tied to rock stars, quick celebrity marriages, and strange Elvis-themed ceremonies from decades ago. Yet critics say Meghan Markle's alleged annulment documents are unusually difficult to access. So the question keeps popping up again and again online. Why seal it at all? Courts typically don't lock records away without a reason. That's why rumor communities keep wondering whether something more complicated might have been involved. Some skeptics believe it could challenge the clean timeline often told about her early years. Others go further and speculate that the sealed paperwork might connect to a much bigger story entirely. And here's the strange irony critics love pointing out. Meghan often speaks about authenticity, truth, and sharing her journey with the world. Yet the one chapter that rumor watchers obsess over, the mysterious gap year and everything tied to it, is the exact part of the story that remains the most unclear. The louder the conversations about transparency become, the more some skeptics claim her past feels like a locked vault full of unanswered questions. And according to those voices online, this particular ghost story might not be finished causing controversy just yet. When Meghan Markle arrived at Northwestern University, critics say it looked like someone had hit the reset button on her entire life. Suddenly, there was a polished smile, a confident new image, and what seemed like absolutely zero baggage. To outsiders, it almost felt like a brand new character had walked onto the stage. Gone were any rumors of a teenage marriage. Gone were questions about annulments or complicated chapters from the past. The version of Meghan people saw on campus was simple: an ambitious student chasing acting dreams and building her future. To some observers, it didn't feel like a small life update. It felt like a full system reboot. And skeptics online say that shift looked less like reinvention and more like a carefully planned reset. In their view, the Giuliano chapter of her life simply vanished from the story. No mentions, no lingering ties, just a clean narrative moving forward as if that earlier chapter had never existed. By the time she settled into college life, Meghan was presenting herself as a confident, worldly young woman ready to break into entertainment. The official story framed that earlier gap year as a time of growth and discovery, but critics say that timeline still raises questions because the details of that period remain so unclear. And yet, people around her seemed to accept the new version without much pushback. Professors saw a focused student. Classmates saw someone building a future in media and acting. Casting circles later saw a rising performer eager to make connections. According to critics, that was the moment the larger narrative really started forming. One story layered on top of another, each chapter building the image of someone determined to climb higher in Hollywood and beyond. But skeptics argue that when a story starts with missing pieces, those gaps have a way of resurfacing later. Rumors don't just disappear forever. They linger in the background, waiting for someone to start asking questions again. And that's where the whispers reportedly began to spread over the years. People loosely connected to the Giuliano family occasionally hinted that Meghan's early history might not be as simple as it appeared. Nothing concrete, nothing officially proven, just quiet comments that kept repeating the same themes. A teenage relationship, a sudden marriage story, a sealed annulment, and, in the most dramatic versions of the rumor, a child kept out of the spotlight. Skeptics say the strange part isn't just the claims themselves, it's how similar the whispers sound when they pop up in different places, different people, different times, yet the same outline of events. That repetition is what keeps fueling speculation online. Because while public figures can reshape their image, they can't control every memory someone else might hold. Old acquaintances talk, stories travel, and once a rumor finds an audience, it tends to stick around. As Meghan's profile grew, first in Hollywood, then on the global stage after joining the royal family, those old whispers didn't fade away. If anything, critics say the spotlight only made people more curious about the chapters of her life that remain the least explained. Every speech about authenticity or personal truth seemed to push the conversation further. Supporters saw inspiration, skeptics saw unanswered questions, and that brings the story to the moment critics claim Meghan would least want to face: the passage of time. Because if the rumors floating around the internet were somehow true, then the person at the center of those whispers wouldn't just be part of the past anymore. They would now be a grown adult, stepping fully into the present. If the rumors floating around online were ever proven true, then the person at the center of this mystery wouldn't be a child anymore. She would be a grown woman, around 30 years old, with her own voice, her own choices, and nothing stopping her from stepping straight into the spotlight. Think about how quickly everything could flip. One headline, one interview, one simple test confirming the truth. That's all it could take to shake the carefully built story Meghan Markle has presented to the world for years. Meghan has built a powerful public image around telling her version of events, emotional interviews, documentaries, speeches about finding her voice and sharing her truth. Supporters see strength in that story, but critics keep asking one uncomfortable question. What if another voice connected to her past suddenly decides she's done staying silent? That wouldn't just create headlines. According to skeptics online, it could completely flip the narrative people have followed for years. A story built on ambition, reinvention, and carefully crafted public image could suddenly face a storm of new questions. For decades, rumors claim this chapter stayed locked away, behind silence and sealed records. But time changes everything. People grow up, stories resurface, and once the spotlight hits something, it's almost impossible to push it back into the dark. And that's the part critics say Meghan would fear the most. Because if someone connected to those whispers ever stepped forward publicly, Meghan wouldn't be the one controlling the narrative anymore. You can dodge headlines for a while, you can answer critics in interviews, but unanswered questions have a way of coming back louder than ever. So what do you think really happened here? Was it all just wild internet rumors? Or is there a hidden chapter people still haven't uncovered yet? Comment your opinion below. And if you want more stories like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive.